with Checkpoint for 9 years and responsible for Infinity NDR for over 4 of those. I've been active in the information security and cyber industry for over 30 years. And I'm excited to share the newest features and offerings of Infinity NDR. Some of you know the product, some might not, so I will cover what it does, why you need it, and also what's new. There's a lot of new stuff that we released in April. So very recently, I'll also cover some roadmap for the product. So hello, checkmates, network detection and response. So what is it? Well, it's pretty much about how we protect today's networks. In the past, in the previous century, I was lucky enough to be around then. We were thinking perimeter, but that's gone. We know that. You know what's inside? I don't know. I don't care. Well, we do care what's inside. Now, there's 2 aspects to that. Segmentation, which is zero trust, software-defined protection, all of those nice things, because we want to engineer networks that are resilient against attacks, and that's important. But what happens when you do get attacked? And in today's world, that's a given. You will be attacked. If your defenses are 100%, go to sleep. Don't read the logs. You don't care. That's no longer a luxury we can afford, because not all attacks come from the network. We see supply chain attacks. We see laptops with malware. And also, attackers today are capable of breaching any technological defense. We are what Checkpoint calls in an age of generation 5 and 6 attackers. In their labs, they have our gear and our competitors' gear, and they develop attacks and then test them. So they will penetrate your network. And so what do? You need to carry on your business. So here comes network detection response. It's an additional line of defense that is in addition to your perimeter network security, in addition to your endpoint security. You need a capability to gain visibility into your internal networks, whether they be on-prem or in the cloud, to understand how attacks are unfolding, sign those attacks and disrupt them, do damage assessment and recovery. And this is the world of network detection and response. And the Gartner definition, which is pretty good, says, how is this different from other tools? Well, first of all, you need not to rely on what you've already seen, what you've already known. You need to have behavioral capabilities that can identify anomalies, because you will be patient zero, you will be attacked, and some of the things that you're going to see are not known to the industry. So you need to be able to react to that, to identify changes, and then triage them. The second thing is, as I mentioned, east-west, very important for the network detection and response story. This capability that gives you eyes on the network to see what's going on and is not dependent on host-based controls, because those can be routed and bypassed. So you need eyes on the network. And the final thing that Gartner talks about is response, because Checkpoint is all about prevention. Just knowing how you lost the war is impotence. You need to be able to react automatically and manually. So you need the man and machine working together to repel attackers. That is Gartner's definition. Kuppinger co-analysts published a very nice leadership compass, and they explain NDR. They have very similar concepts. Nice report that we've acquired distribution rights, so you're welcome to reach out and receive the report. And we're very happy. This is our first year of participation in this compass, and we were identified, Infinity NDR was identified as a leader, overall innovation, product and market leader. So it's very happy finding for me. And they talk about our strengths. So threat hunting and platform support, of course, because of the wide range of checkpoint enforcement points. I'll talk about that in a few minutes. And then they also know things where we could improve. So we are definitely working on that. And I'll talk about new features and roadmap. Integration with MDR gives us this. We're very focused on integrations, etc. So this is the high-level architecture. Just to explain what it is that we're talking about. So Infinity NDR is a sort of hybrid solution. I usually call it a technology stack because different customers, big and small, end customers and service providers each use it slightly differently, but the platform looks like this. There are sensors. Sensors are attached to a network, could be on-prem, could be in the cloud. And these sensors are repurposed checkpoint gateways. So their job from the NDR perspective is to match the traffic against all of the checkpoint Infinity blades and then generate logs. We also rely on packet captures, but the logs are the primary data object that we are processing. And we've recently added the capability of consuming logs from checkpoint log servers, gateway logs, and also in early availability endpoint logs. And we also offer integrations with mobile. So there's different types of logs that can be consumed. And these go into a backend. That backend is portable. So it has been sold as a product by customers who deploy it on-prem. But the primary focus of Infinity NDR is as a service, a SaaS. So it's hosted by Checkpoint. And what it does is it, on the one hand, applies AI engines on the logs to come up with additional insights, and also integrates with other Checkpoint cloud-based tools. Infinity SOC is the main backend AI engine we are relying on right now, but in terms of roadmap, Checkpoint has announced the extended detection response application, XDR, and that will also bring us hundreds of additional AI models. And then there are the AI models that are baked into NDR, and we also rely heavily on Threat Cloud for correlating events. We'll talk about that in a second. And the output of NDR is twofold, because I talked about automatic response and manual response. So on the one hand, we have the visualizations. Infinity NDR is optimized for a SOC analyst. So when you deploy this solution, you don't need Smart Console because you're not managing policy. You are all about identifying attacks, and then signing and stopping them. And the second output is to your enforcement point, whether they be gateways, and in the roadmap, other Harmony and cloud-based enforcement points, checkpoint, but also non-checkpoint. We have customers who are using NDR as their detection and response component, and then publishing enforcements to third-party firewalls. And of course, there's a loop here. So the analyst, his objective is not just to understand, but also to repel attacks. So how does this work? The principal concept that has been with us since we went into general availability in 2019 under different names. So we used to be called Sandblast Vanguard, Sandblast Now, CloudGuard NDR, and now repositioned as Infinity NDR. And of course, each of these steps were part of the product evolution, adding additional capabilities. Infinity NDR is where we've aligned to the Infinity pillar of checkpoint products, and the principal update with this release is the alignment with Infinity SOC. Infinity SOC is a checkpoint product that provides different tools for the SOC. NDR has aligned with that. So if you purchase Infinity SOC, you get NDR and vice versa for the given amount of gateways that are licensed, checkpoint or non-checkpoint. And so that's commercially, but also technically, Infinity SOC now provides Infinity NDR with AI insights and supports intelligence investigation. So going back to the model is that either you prevent natively on the box. We have some customers who are deploying inline, but the bulk, almost all of our customers have adopted this concept because it provides for the east-west visibility. So we are sitting on traffic mirroring interfaces, processing the logs, and then signaling enforcement points to block whatever needs to be blocked. That is the concept. Signaling, we've adopted threat indicators, also sometimes referred to as IOCs, indicators of compromise, as the primary mechanism, and I'll show that, for saying this is bad, you need to stop it. And this is an automated platform. So this is the concept. And it creates a feedback loop because we're taking the logs, we're detecting the anomalies, again, analyst and automated measures. We triage and incriminate. And this is one of the competitive advantages of the Checkpoint Infinity NDR product versus competitors, because we do this automatically by correlating anomalies. Anomalies are something that is different, but it's not necessarily bad. So how do we know it's bad? We correlate it with threat cloud intelligence. So Checkpoint is a powerhouse of intelligence, and that gives us an edge. And also application fingerprinting, what in the firewall world we call application control. Here we use this technology to understand what's going on. And then we publish this to the enforcement points. And since the sensor is an enforcement point, this creates a feedback loop. So we process the logs from the indicator matches, and that's an additional input. And the platform comes with multiple AI engines. And as I show here, the latest to be added to our arsenal is Infinity SOC, a very powerful machine learning based engine that prioritizes alerts. So it creates certainty from masses of detections, because again, this is very important because for any NDR tool, because we're looking not at the obvious, at the stuff that gets blocked at the perimeter, but we're looking at what got through. There is always false positives. And this is an assumption for the platform that what the alerts that we see, high probability that it's not something I need to be worried about, but I'm sifting through this information using automated and manual means to find the leads. And Infinity SOC says, this is important. This, you need to look at this. Let's see what this looks like in practice. So it's a prioritization tool, and it gives you, the prioritized list of events. So switching to demo mode. I'll start off with how do you get there? Where is this Infinity NDR? So let's show that. This is the Infinity NDR portal. It's hosted at now.checkpoint.com. And so it's not integrated into the Infinity portal at this point. If you click don't have an account, you will get to a registration screen. And then you can enter your company name, etc. And then somebody will get back to you and register you on the domain. So this is how you get to it. Now, let's go back to Infinity NDR. I'll give the links for these on the last page, but this is the product page. You can get the Kubingo call report from here, or should be available quite soon. And this is the security operations page, which talks about where NDR fits in the checkpoint Infinity pillar. So we have the SOC, we have NDR, we also have additional products, EDR. All of these will enjoy XDR when it comes out. And then we also work tightly with the checkpoint managed detection and response service, which wraps all of this and more with a managed capability. Of course, we rely on ThreatCloud. So let's see what it looks like. This is the portal. As I explained, there's a backend. So this is the web portal for it. And we are heavily relying on checkpoint technology. So what you're actually seeing here is a hosted smart event, a highly scalable one. What we are doing is we're spinning up a horizontally scalable set of checkpoint management servers and smart event servers, and we're wrapping that with an application that is fit for purpose for network detection and response and adding additional capabilities. That is the concept. So this would be familiar to checkpoint customers that have smart event. And that also serves to reduce total cost of ownership because it is using familiar functions. This is the analyst view, and this is new for the April release. So I will take a few minutes to review the operational concept. And if we're going through, I'll start with the tabs on the left-hand side. The overview we've seen, it gives you a big picture, the numbers, the counters, everything is clickable and searchable. Management is where you deploy or connect sensors. Very easy to do that on-prem because all you need to do is if you have a box, you enter a MAC for the box and get a registration key, and you run a command on any checkpoint Gaia-based appliance, which is the entire range basically. And it will automatically connect to the backend. So you don't need to do anything other than connect to the network, connect to the span port, and you're done. The application takes care of everything from there. That's with hardware, that's with a VMware sensor. On public cloud, we are using cloud native traffic mirroring. We're provisioning it automatically using a CloudFormation template or Terraform, depending on the platform. So it's really easy. It takes minutes on-prem and in the cloud. And it's even faster if you have a checkpoint log server. We give you a command, you run it, 30 seconds, and you get visibility. And if it's a dedicated sensor, then it's consuming our threat indicators automatically. If it's your managed gateways, then again, it's easy. We give you a command, you run it on the gateway, or you configure it from your management server, and you're pulling these indicators from NDR. And we also support third-party gateways, as I mentioned. So this is management. User management, etc. I won't spend the time on this today because I want to focus on the new stuff in the April release. So the concept here is that you have views and you have insights. And of course, there's logs which show you the raw logs, allow you to get to the packet captures, TE reports. That's pretty standard. Also the reports, which is the batch report generator. These have been with us for quite a while. I'll focus on views and insights in this session. And the idea behind this is that views are things that an analyst is looking for or configuring the system to look for. Insights are where the system is telling you, you should look at this. This is interesting or suspicious. So I'll show the differences here. And of course, Intel is the response arm. So we'll talk about that as well. On the left-hand side, and this is collapsible, you have the time frame, and then you have the concept of a view. A view is a named filter. As you can see, there's different views here. And some of these filters can be quite complex. This is, as I mentioned, based on the Smart Event platform. So it extends it. It's a very rich language, which defines a filter for logs. So it expresses which logs we're interested in. And then you can see the icon is either relating to a predefined view, something that comes from out of the box. Domain level views. A domain is the tenant, the NDR tenant. The system itself is multi-tenant, multi-tier. What does multi-tier mean? It means that you can establish contacts between different domains so that one domain sees the other, and depending on the rights you provide in the contact can also manage. So for example, if you want to subscribe to Checkpoint Manage Detection Response, you will just go into management, contacts, monitor domains, and add a request to be monitored by Checkpoint NDR. You can do that with a third-party service provider. And in fact, we do have service providers hosted on our cloud that see only their own customers. So this is domain level for a specific domain. I'll show that in a second. You can see them here. And then, of course, the analyst also has his own views. So in the previous versions, I would use Notepad a lot just to say I want, all of the filters done. This is much slicker and much more useful because I can toggle between these views. And then on the right-hand side, we have all of the visualizations for the current filter and the current user filter. For example, I can type something like ZMAP, and I will only see the ZMAP related attacks. And then I can use all of these visualizations to research it and figure out, is this good? Is this bad? So we've achieved a seamless research experience. This is a great advance in this version. Just a note on MITRE ATT&CK, this is also new in this release. This will only be available for sensors that are at RAD 1.10 and above. So if you want this and your sensor is older than that, R81, because we don't maintain older than R81, then we'll need to upgrade you. So just request that. Going to a domain level, an example of a domain level filter. Here, there's a subnet. We noticed that it was acting suspiciously. You can see the application, propeller tracking. So the user defines a view on this subnet and also configures a notification. So we had push notifications before, but they were hard to use. Now they're attached to a view. I want to know if there are over X events in a defined time period. So it's a threshold-based notification. And then this will send me an email and also generate an event with a given probability. And we'll see how that feeds the insights. So I'm configuring a push notification. And when that triggers, then there's an insight. So as I mentioned, insights are where the system will tell me you should look at this. So this is insight. It's also, if you right-click on any of these views, you'll see different capabilities. You can change the order. You can add an event. So I'll come back to that in a second. And of course, you can change whether it's a domain level, personal or hidden. I'll explain that. And then also, we have a forward to MDR capability, an integration with a managed detection and response. So I'm asking MDR to take a look at the event. This is an example of a personal, an analyst event, view, where I'm personally looking for this, but I haven't upgraded it to domain level yet because maybe it's not interesting for all of the users on my domain. This is not, the fact that it's personal is not a security, it's not a privacy thing. So I can request show all. I can see other analysts' views as well. And then of course I can upgrade this to domain level. And just, this is just showing that we still have all of these analysis capabilities that we had in the past. This is the activity map. And as mentioned, it applies to the specific filter I'm looking for. So, and of course, to the user entered filter. So if I do, I just want to see activity on port 80, then it will recalculate the activity map. This is last month on big data, so it will take a few seconds. I'll come back to it. But this is the idea. You can use these tools to research what's going on here. Hidden. Also a new capability in this version, and it's a very important one, so I'll spend a couple of minutes on it. The operational concept that this new release is implementing, is supporting, and this is something that we developed together with live customers over, using our experience in actual cyber attacks, is that as an analyst, you are expecting the system, first of all, to react automatically. We'll show how that's done. But when you're looking at the network, you're breaking down the logs into stories. We call them stories. And those stories can be told using a view. Okay, so a view is, as I mentioned, a named filter. It says these logs should be included in this story. Now, the story, if you put all of the stories together, which is the default, you get in many customers, especially ones where a lot of interesting stuff is happening, you get a lot of stories overlaid, and that creates noise for the analyst. By moving to hidden, what I'm doing is I can see this story on this display, but if I go back to all traffic or threats and risks or any of these other displays, this whole story will be filtered out. And this is based on, we had a filter mechanism, but it was very hard to use. Now it's completely integrated with the views concept. I can move it back to the domain level, etc. So this is now hidden from everything else. And on to insights. So as I mentioned, the insight is where the system is telling me you should be looking at this. And here, this concept was actually triggered by the move to alignment with InfinitySOC. So the interface is similar. If anybody recognizes InfinitySOC, knows InfinitySOC. So what we're actually doing, because this is a deep dive, so I'll explain. You're binding your NDR domain with your InfinitySOC tenant. That's a few seconds of work, very easy. You export an API key on InfinitySOC, you import it here, and that's it. And then the insights start streaming in. So it must be said, if it's an NDR sensor, a dedicated sensor, it automatically sends telemetry for SOC. You don't need to do anything. If it's a checkpoint gateway, then you need to make sure that the data is being shared with, the telemetry is being shared with checkpoint, also very easy. And if it's a non-checkpoint gateway, well, you're out of luck. We won't support this specific AI engine. What InfinitySOC does is it prioritizes detections. So it relies on the NDR sensor to send the telemetry. And then it says, this event is important, this event is important. And it gives it a probability. And what you can see here on the bottom is our interpretation of the InfinitySOC events that you can see on the InfinitySOC portal, converted into an NDR filter. And here on the top, you see the graph that is actually the aggregation of this entire set across the time frame defined here. So you can see basically InfinitySOC is saying this IP is infected, high probability. And then this is, you can see that this is sorted by descending probability. So you can address the top ones first and then go down the bottom. This is an example of a notification-based insight. So you can see that we are combining different types of engine to tell you, you should certainly look at this. And then what can you do with an insight? Forward to MDR. So if I say, MDR, I want you to take a look at this, you get this lifesaver icon, and MDR will open a ticket and link back. That's actually work in progress. So you can flag an event, but an insight, but again, MDR will soon come back to you and get you that ticket. Very cool integration. You can also assign it to a specific analyst defined on your domain, and then he will get it in his queue. So he'll see his own events that he needs to touch. And then you can take an event and say, okay, let's take something that's low priority and say, this is handled. And then it goes to the bottom and gets the lowest probability, and you can change probability for any insight. So this is the concept here, where you're combining things that the system is pushing to you, that's insights. And then, of course, you have all of these tools, research tools that allow you to come to a determination whether this is actually something that needs to be handled or whether it's fine. Remember, it could be a prevented insight. We have customers, especially the ones that are sending us the logs from the firewalls, where you're examining an event and you're happy because it's 100% prevent, but you can pivot and figure out, am I missing anything? And sometimes we are, and we need to take action. So on to the last component of Infinity NDR, the R part, the response. And as I mentioned, we implemented a fully featured threat intelligence management platform inside NDR that is tightly integrated with the analytics components. And there are 3 parts to this platform. Indicators is the database. So you have your own database of threat indicators of different types. This is an example of a snort signature. So you can have complex expressions of what traffic to block, but the most primitive is an IP. Anything to or from this IP should be blocked. And here, these can be created both manually or automatically. Here you see a geo-based AI engine saying, block this IP. And in this case, we see this is a pattern-based detection, again, an AI engine that says this IP should be blocked. Or port-based, there's a spike in a specific protocol. All of these are associated with a confidence. The confidence is coming from ThreatCloud. So we are incriminating based on ThreatCloud information. And what you can also see is that tags. So when I tag a host in the topology view, this is also represented as an indicator. Why is this useful? Because it means that it's very easy to integrate with CMDB systems using the automated input feed and output feed facility, which I'm going to show now. So feeds, let's start with feeds. Feeds is where I can configure the system to automatically pull indicators, things that need to be logged, detect, or blocked, prevent, from some other source. So we can see different examples here that are in use by our customers. You can pull using standard protocols like StickTaxi. You can pull from third-party platforms like Threat Connect, Anomaly, and other SIM platforms that I don't want to mention here. And when you configure one of these feeds, there are different types that you can select. The AI engines are actually modeled as a feed. So they are automatic. You automatically get a behavioral analytics feed when you provision a new domain. As I mentioned, there are different external threat intelligence platforms that are supported out of the box using REST APIs. And then there's a new feature called Ioc Harvester, new for this release. And what IOC Harvester does is address a need by many of our customers that have a non-checkpoint firewall. Now, you can think of your own third-party brand. Some of them are decent firewalls. Some are not decent firewalls, but the customer is still invested in them, right? And so this customer says, okay, yes, this is my firewall. It's not a checkpoint, but I want to get up to the latest security and the latest protections that I can get from checkpoint. And if you remember the slide where you have the NDR sensor feeding the firewall, this is how it works. You set up an IOC harvester. The sensor is using threat cloud intelligence and AI and all of those amazing checkpoint threat prevention capabilities, and it's detecting bad traffic that needs to get blocked. And it's matching it to a protection name, an IOC, and assigning confidence and severity. So what the IOC harvester feed does is it picks up everything that was matched on your network from the logs and publishes it as a feed that you can consume into your third-party gateway. So it's a pretty cool new feature. I will mention when I go back to the feeds that in order to operationalize this solution, there is a policy which by default is detect mode. So we usually recommend that you triage the indicator matches for a while to see that you're getting good low false positives. If you move to prevent, again, you in this release, you will be able to set a minimum confidence. So the confidence is coming from the feed or from the harvester. And you can say, I only want high confidence events, indicators to be operationalized in prevent, others go to detect. And of course, after they're fed into the indicators database, you can bulk edit, filter for specific indicators, then say move these to prevent. And the output is achieved using data sets. And a data set is qualified by several features. First of all, if you want to consume it outside of the NDR system, you need to make it public. Public means that it's consumable outside of NDR. The information is published on a keyed URL that you need to extract here. I'll show you how. And then these are the indicator types that we support. These are supported by checkpoint gateways of different versions. Snort is also supported by many checkpoint versions. So when I'm saying supported, I mean that the gateway is able to poll NDR and pull the snort and apply it without policy push. And then these are experimental, and we are currently in process on rolling out the PCAP capability to checkpoint Infinity NDR sensors. So this is not available yet or soon on the checkpoint mainframe. But what PCAP does is allow me to sign specific data that I'm saying I want this with full packet capture. And how does that look? if I go back to threat topology, I had it open here somewhere, I believe. Let's see. Oh, it's my next slide. Here I'm looking at a customer where I'm looking for a view for things that were matched by indicators. So if I go to visualization of this, I see what got matched by the IOCs. So it's purple because it's an AV IOC. And what I can do is I can say, I want everything going to this host to be recorded. And that will create a pickup indicator that the sensor will pick up and will start creating those pickups. They are attached to logs that you can then review and understand. Of course, remember to disable the indicator once you don't need it, because it does have performance impact on the sensor. Another thing that you can see in this display is the download agent for remediation. This is wrapping the Infinity SOC capability for creating a package that you can install on your endpoint. And it will only work if you have SOC, active SOC license. The last thing I'd like to show in this page is the ability to actually delete logs. So this is actually quite revolutionary. When I'm looking at a specific host and I can see that it not only was there an AI detection, but we can see a IOC match. I can do show indicator, which will bring me to the specific indicator that triggered on this host. But I can also do delete matches. And this actually says, okay, I created an IOC, a lot of noise out of it because it ends up that I signed my AD or I signed something like that, or a Windows update. We actually had a story recently where Microsoft served Windows updates from a content distribution network, which was also serving malware, and Checkpoint Intelligence triggered on, and we got a lot of false positives on IOC matches. You can actually delete the logs in the defined time frame to clean up the display. So it's also a brand new feature that we're having. Given the time, I'll go back to the summary and say thank you and open it up for questions. You're all welcome to email me. This is the portal link where you can register, and this is the page that describes the product. So thank you, and opening it up for questions.
Yeah, so Neil, we have a few questions, and let me pick some. So there is a question from Victor. He asked if we can detect behaviors like large volume upload to the cloud or internal network port scan.
So the answer is definitely yes. What you can do is you can, first of all, again, there's automated and manual. On the manual side, the data flow analytics, the activity map will show you both spikes in number of connections and in volume of data. On the automated side, the notifications facility will allow you to configure. You can say, if more than X events have been logged, in a particular time period, I want a notification, and this is we use this a lot when you have an internal scanner. Scanners are visually expressed as a yellow flower because IPS will typically catch it and sign even the specific scanner type usually. So I'll know if it's an Nmap or some other type of tool. And it's a burst of usually. So it's, unless of course it's low and slow, and then we need to take additional capabilities like counting the number of destinations for a specific host. And then some of the AI engines will detect this. For example, port-based AI behavioral analytic will typically trigger on a scanner.
Okay, thank you. There are other two questions that I will work around together, and I think you answer some of them. Does the Infinity NDR use deep packet inspection? And also there is a questions regarding the words logs and flows seems to be used interchangeable here, as the solution works slowly with logs from checkpoint firewall, or the network flows also mandatory input.
Okay, deep packet inspection, of course, this is a key differentiator for Infinity NDR because the sensor is smart. It's a checkpoint gateway with all of its capabilities, latest version. So we actually have some customers that are running NGTP, some older version on the firewall. Maybe they don't have TE enabled, maybe they don't have AV enabled, etc. So they position the NDR to complete that visibility, and it analyzes the traffic in the same way that a checkpoint gateway would, with deep packet inspection, with application visibility. And this is an advantage because a lot of the competing NDR solutions have a much dumber sensor that is picking up traffic and sending it to the backend for analysis, which is completely not scalable. Also, it's garbage in, garbage out. An AI engine is only as good as the input that it gets. So our AI already has the threat categorization, the application risk as an input. So yes, absolutely, deep packet inspection. Regarding flows and logs, so I didn't use the word flow as far as I remember on this presentation, but it is part of the product roadmap to consume flow data, like a net flow. That's not implemented yet. What we know how to consume today are only checkpoint logs from a checkpoint log server. And we have additional ways of generating logs from endpoint and from Harmony events, but we are focused on the checkpoint estate for event consumption, because the concept behind Infinity NDR is that SIEM is a losing battle. You are collecting logs from event generators which don't actually do the job. They don't sign the bad stuff, and you're dependent on what they send you. And you need to be lowest common denominator because you need to be as wide as possible. Here, I'm putting in a box that does amazing things in real time as a network overlay. Keep your third-party firewall, or if you're a service provider, I don't care. I have a single overlay that I can put on all of my customers, all of my sites, and I don't need lowest common denominator. I have the highest common denominator. So Infinity NDR gives you the best visibility, the best ability to understand what's happening because it's based on the checkpoint technology. The output enforcement, well, a third-party firewall can do that. That's okay.
Nir, if you can put in the chat the URL to access the portal, and so basically, can you explain also regarding the license and is it a free trial or how people can start using it?
Okay, good questions. So the way that this works is the license is composed of three parts. There's a service. The service is parameterized by number of supported gateways. And that we've converged with Infinity SOC. So what you are buying is Infinity SOC for X gateways. There are 4 different levels that can be combined. And that gives you both SOC and NDR. That is the service. Now, if you are relying on a checkpoint gateway estate and registering logs for the service, then you're done. That's what you need. If you want to deploy, and you do want to deploy dedicated sensors to shine light on internal networks, inside proxies, inside NAT, you want to see east-west, you want to see when 2 endpoints are talking to each other or attacking the AD, those sensors, you simply buy a checkpoint NGTX or SNBT in today's terminology. Could be CloudGuard, could be Quantum.
So Quantum Spark is also supported.
Spark is only, Spark is not supported as a dedicated sensor. We can consume logs from Spark, either from the log server or from SMP if you're using the large-scale management. And then the SMB can pull IOCs. What we found is that most customers that are using the Spark don't want it as a dedicated sensor. They also want it as a firewall. So we haven't extended the dedicated sensor concept to it. Only Gaia-based solutions. Maestro is conceptually supported, but has not been certified yet. So if you need like terabyte per second NDR, then open a request for enhancement so we can get it QA'd and certified.
There is another question. Do you have a guide for bringing NDR to Infinity SOC?
That will come out very shortly. It's a very easy transition. We have many customers who are moving from SOC to NDR. Of course, when I say moving, it's extending their SOC experience because, again, it's the same, it's included. If you bought SOC, you actually paid for NDR as well. So that transition, very easy, just reach out to me. Another option is to register through the Checkpoint website. There's I'll post the link for that.
Do we have a solution for classified environments?
Yes. So when I said there are 3 components to the pricing, the third one, which I sort of glossed over, is if you want to purchase, so if you're not happy with, or for regulatory reasons or whatever, you cannot or don't want to send logs to Checkpoint for this analysis, then you can deploy the same service, exactly the same, on-prem. On-prem could be in your Azure cloud or in your AWS. It's completely portable. We have customers running on VMware, on bare metal, Gaia. And then you're in addition to the service, you're actually paying for the platform. The platform is standard Checkpoint management servers and gateways for the cloud edge. Size, number or quantity of these components depends on, if you want hundreds or thousands of sensors, depends on your size or very few. And so it's sold using the standard Checkpoint SKUs for those. And also typically that comes with PS for the kickstart, and a lot of customers want the ongoing maintenance. So that's how that's done.
What is the plan of Infinity NDR? It will going to be exist with the Infinity NDR and Infinity XDR?
So if we're looking at these two offerings, XDR is coming out, and XDR is a new generation of cloud-based tools for SOC analysts. So it's much, much more value-driven than SOC is, with hundreds of AI engines. And the first step for that is that customers that want to transition to XDR, we will enable log export from the NDR platform to XDR. So, and then in the same way that we're pulling SOC insights, we will be pulling XDR insights. There is currently no concrete plan for incorporation of NDR within XDR, but some of its features will be wrapped. So for example, in SOC, there is a small subset of the checkpoint NDR IOC management capability is included in SOC. Same thing will happen with XDR. So it will offer built-in IOC management on top of NDR. And we do see XDR replacing SOC. So it already, if you look at the threat cloud investigation component, it's already branded XDR in preparation for that. And eventually, I expect that one day XDR will incorporate more and more capabilities of NDR. However, there's no roadmap right now for the portability aspect. So customers that want on-prem will continue to, so NDR is a product that is not slated for demolition because we still have that pretty large segment. And so I expect them to coexist. But this is a forward-looking statement. You know, we're talking years in the future. I don't know what will happen.
Kolov asked if in views he has a meter tab and it's empty, how to use this feature.
So if it's empty, then I would guess that he has an R81 based sensor and he needs to contact us to be, so when we up, we'll put him higher in the list of upgrades because he needs R81.10. Or we can re-image it.
Okay. So I think we are basically done. We answered all of the questions. Some questions repeating themselves. So Nir, thank you very much. We are going to upload this recording and answer to checkmates in a day or two. And if you want another round with Nir, he's going to deliver another session tonight for America, and you can still join and register to this session. Nir, thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice, great day. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.